one of our old favorites. We've seen this done many a time. Club across the shoulders like so, and literally get that club coming down over that trail leg. If you can get that club over the trail leg like so, we know that you've got a good rotation from the upper body. And what we'll see from this front-on view as well, this front pocket, it will disappear into where the back pocket was.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So video one with the boys, we focused on Michael here. You're fixed.
Plus three now, Mikey? Is that where you are? Yeah, that's it.
Sky's the limit. So now we're on to you guys. We're on to really focus on some things that the guys see consistently with your lessons, whether it be here, in person, or online as well, your online coaching platform, and some things that you really see golfers consistently do poorly.
Yeah, and I think, look, we've done a lot of lessons here at the Grand, and over the last 20 years, the same things just keep showing up. And often we always joke, we're backswing coaches, because the amount of golfers that we see, that we're going, we need to work at the backswing. Some people are rare, like Mikey, he was downswing a little bit, but he's a really, really good player. But for the majority of golfers, the downswing is just a reaction to what goes on in the way back. So if you're seeing it, they're over the top, or you've got an early release or hanging back, there's something happening in the backswing that's causing that. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to go through three key things that if you check these three things, and if you get these three things right, it's going to make a massive difference to your game. It just sets you up perfectly to make an efficient downswing. It doesn't guarantee you're going to get great shots, but it just makes the golf swing so much more simple.
Yeah. If you're not doing these, then you're definitely missing out. And I think probably the third one is the most important one, because it's the real driver of the golf swing from what we see, for sure.
Yeah, look, you need to watch all these three. I'm excited about sharing these, especially the second one, because we've got a really simple drill to use as well.
Oh, you like the second one, and I like the third one.
Well, yes, exactly.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so the first one, let's just go into this then. And I think that this is maybe overlooked, just the backswing pivot motion with this. All we were going to say with this is, look, we need to have a good backswing pivot motion, which means no sway on the way back. We want to make sure that we are allowing ourselves to have enough rotation. The rotation is really going to allow us to deliver the club from a decent path. So Piers will just take you through here what we want to see really, and then we'll go through what we don't want to see as well.
So yeah, absolutely. So from here, look, if we would consider something like this to be a good rotation. So we like to draw a line called the backswing line from the outside of the right leg up to the right hip. And we ideally, now I sometimes struggle with this, so I've got to go carefully. We ideally like to stay on that line as we're getting good rotation. So if you said to us, would we rather have 30 degrees of hip rotation? Would we rather have 50 degrees of hip rotation? We'd rather have 50. Yeah. Because there's a lot of golfers who get stuck and don't turn enough. I'd rather see a little bit more, because at least from here, it allows those hands and arms to get behind our body. It allows them to go deep. When we short on the turn, we can have problems, which we'll talk about in a moment. But do you want me to go to the drill, Andy, of what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, let's go into the drill. Maybe just show people how they get it wrong as well.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So if we have someone who sways, that's when we move laterally through that backswing line. You can see I'm not turning a lot, but from here now, when you're laterally moving a lot like this, you've probably then got to laterally move a lot like this, or you'll swing over the top. So once you don't really rotate enough, you're prone to doing that over the top, which is a big problem. So what we really want to see is, we want to see, as I say, that bigger, deeper hip turn. So a drill that we like to do is one of our old favorites. You've seen this done many a time. Club across the shoulders like so, and literally get that club coming down over that trail leg. So if you can get that club over the trail leg like so, we know that you've got a good rotation from the upper body. And what we'll see from this front-on view as well, this front pocket, it will disappear into where the back pocket was. So it will rotate back into that back pocket, so swapping those pockets.
Just going to point a couple of things out from here. Just do that again for us, Piers, here. Look, you'll see Piers is rotating a lot. It looks very free. A couple of things to notice is that he's moving, come back to center for us, Piers. He's moving from the midpoint of his chest to the belt buckle. So it's not just the shoulders. He's really going from center point here to the chest. And as he does this, look, sorry, the belt. As he does this, there's a lot of things moving. The knee works in, the right leg straightens up a little bit, his head rotates as well. A lot of these things we don't see in the average golfer. A lot of people are so focused on keeping this still, not moving too much. We want to see more movement generally, but more movement in a good way, which is in this sort of free way. I think that the word that we keep using with our students here at the Grand is that we want to free them up on the backswing, because there's a lot of stiffness in there and we can't move and we need to stay in the same place. Soon as we create that freedom, it not only helps with creating this centered pivot, which helps with ball striking, but it also helps with the delivery. As Piers does this again, watch, as he rotates and allows things to move, now he's got the space on the way down to get the golf club swinging somewhat close to the swing plane when he does this as well.
And I think where this can come a little bit of a problem for some people is we see like Rory McIlroy. He's getting about 30 degrees of hip rotation when he's swinging back, but his spine is that mobile that he can rotate around that 30 degrees no problem. So he's got very little hip turn, but then from there, he still manages to deliver that club on a shallow plane. Now, the majority, if we see an average golfer turn up who sits at a desk all day and has to go to a proper job in the day, we'll find that if they start doing this here, their first move is very much going to be over the top. Stinker.
So great drill there. Just a couple of things on the feet. So just to help you with this, don't be afraid to just flare the feet out. It opens up the hip joint and just allows for a little bit of freedom. And as we've said with the legs, look, when Piers does this, let this knee work in, let this right leg straighten somewhat. We doesn't have to lock out, but this just helps the freedom in those hips to create that rotation.
It's a weird one, but we'd rather see a leg work like a Jack Nicklaus and a Tom Watson than maybe a Nick Faldo. I think there were a few things there when Faldo was doing that. Again, great athlete. He was able to keep that flex in the leg. If you're trying to keep that flex in the leg, it can often limit things. So just let it straighten out a little bit. That's actually
what golf
fine.
myths that sort of, when you guys are talking through that, you're dispelling, like you said, head still. I think keeping knee flex is another one. There was a period of time when really trying to keep the belt buckle facing forward, or
we've all done it.
sit your backside in a seat and see how much you can turn your upper body against those hips. I mean, Jason Day, poor guy, he's got a rough back, you know, from doing that for years.
And we've coached that.
Done that.
We've made the mistake of going, no, we need to keep the knees still. We need to rotate, keep this flexed. We've coached that in years because we thought that was the way to do it. But as science and understanding about the body, which is really, you know, which is key to this, we've now realized that actually it probably wasn't the best idea. And, you know, ultimately the results, you know, speak for themselves when we get people to do it. Just hit a shot then, Piers. Let's just take a look at what's going on with the motion here. The boys have moved out of the way. They've seen you hit before.
Sensibly so.
I trust them.
If anything, for me, I tend to be a little bit inside that backswing line as I get to the top. I tend to move almost like a bit of an anti-sway almost.
And again, there's two things that happen with that, Piers. The freedom in his rotation there and the centered pivot, no sway, allowed him to get ball followed by the turf. And then just the rotation helped him deliver the club more from the inside. Now, let's go to this next tip. This one for me is like it is, I can't tell you how important this is, and not even thought about by many golfers. So this could be a game changer for you. So,
and there's definitely a misconception in this that you absolutely should not be doing. If you're doing it, you need to stop.
So this is really how we're going to be syncing up the body, the arms and the club. Now, what we want to see, here's what we want to see. By the time the lead arm's parallel to the ground, so parallel to the ground, a little bit shorter than that, that's perfect, right. There we go. We want to see that we've had a good move of the torso. You can see how much shoulder rotation Piers already got. He's probably got 70 degrees here already. And we can see roughly a 90-degree angle between the shaft and the arm. This is a great backswing sequence. This is going to help Piers then start the downswing in a good way. Here's what we're seeing a lot of golfers do. Out of sequence, not much shoulder turn, lead arm across the chest, but also we see a lot of angle in the shaft with this right elbow super tucked in, because a lot of golfers are thinking, well, I've got to get this elbow tucked in because I've got to swing from the inside. It's ruining a lot of golfers' swings. There's a drill we're going to show you with this. Now, this is actually a Lee Trevino drill. He used it for short game, but actually I think it's great for long game and backswing sequence. Talk through the drill, Piers. Yeah. You've got long arms, so it actually doesn't work as much for you.
I can cheat it with these long things, but yeah.
It's a great thing for you guys to check at home.
I think so. Let's go to that checkpoint. So let's actually swing back so the lead arm is parallel to the ground, and from there, good turn. We're going to get the right arm off, and we're going to see how far up the club here we can actually reach. If I can get anywhere near this area here, then that's about as much as I want to be doing. If you are somebody who is narrow like this and getting at the top of me, we see these golfers, how many times have you seen these guys when you've got a fitting? If I can grab up here and grab the head from here, we're far too narrow, far too narrow. And often it's because, as we said, we're trying to keep that in. We don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, if you can swing back here and not grab the club head, it's a great indication that you've got great width, as long as you are creating a good pivot motion. If you can grab that club head, you're probably a little too narrow in that backswing, and this is then just going to set you up for a poor sequence on the way down. So good rehearsal, good checkpoint to swing back, see if you can grab it. If it's here and narrow and there's a lot of set, it's easy to grab that club head and it's just going to set you up for a poor swing.
Mikey, with his old swing maybe a few years ago from what you described, would have probably been able to grab the club head at that stage there. Let me just actually hit one, and I'm actually going to give you a little bit of a drill on how you can do this. You can actually hit some shots where you just actually focus on this length backswing, and we do a slightly shorter through swing as well. So watch this, we go back to here, and we're through to here. We call it set to point. So you're literally setting the club on the way back, and I'm pointing the club at the target. You can see when I'm pointing the club at the target, my arms are extended, which they probably wouldn't be if you were here and then here. So the arms are extended, but my hips and my chest are facing the target, so they're really rotated well through.
We're going to do this one more time as well, because I want to stress something for you guys at home doing this, is that whenever we focus on the arms and the club, it's very easy to forget about the torso. And whenever we go to a checkpoint in the backswing, it's easy to just put it there. Really important what Piers does, you'll see here, and we talk about this a lot, the best players in the world are turning early. The best players in the world are moving a lot in the move away. And you see, like you say, he's got almost a 90-degree shoulder turn by halfway back. We're seeing a common trait here. All the better players are doing this. The people who are struggling aren't moving the torso enough and getting the arms across the body and very narrow. So that is a key
Yeah,
component.
definitely. And another thing to add to this, we can talk about this all day. How long have we got? Another 3 hours?
As much as you guys have got, we're good.
It's so easy to sort of say, well, look, yeah, but it's okay for us guys because that's the ideal, and my body, your bodies are fine, but mine are a little bit stiff and a little bit tight. If you get to a point where you've got your full turn and your arms are only swinging to there, that is absolutely fine. We would rather you have width than runoff. Width is much better than runoff, because once we have runoff, we then have to realign things and resync things on the way.
It's a great point. Everyone's different, and we just want to work with what we've got. If you've only got a 70-degree shoulder turn, then you may have to just have a shorter arm swing. It's a great point.
We'll often have a golfer here be close stance like this, so we can allow for more hip rotation, flare the foot out, short backswing like this with a good turn, and then from there, just hit it, and they'd be just as good doing that as they would be trying to go too long.
Okay, so pivot motion, arm, club, and body sequence. Now we're going into the most important thing that influences the start direction of the ball, the club face. And again, often it's overlooked because we see the big movements in the swing, and the big movements are often a result of a compensation trying to square the club face. So what we're going to just do is really educate you on just a couple of simple checkpoints that you should be aware of if you video your golf swing or you practice with a mirror. Just check these, because if the face is good, it's so much easier again to move in a good way and deliver that club from in a good place at impact.
So what we're after is some parallel lines here, effectively. So if you were to analyze yourself and use analysis software, I think me and my golf do one of those.
I do, yeah,
so
they do.
They could always download the app and try that one out. But what we've got is, if by the time the club shaft is parallel to the ground, if we look at the leading edge there, we want it pretty much parallel to the spine angle. So if that leading edge there is matching the spine angle, we know that we're pretty neutral here. We're in a good place. If we start getting that face too open or too closed, it can cause compensations. We'll show you those in a moment, because we've got one more checkpoint. So our second checkpoint will be when you get to the top of the backswing. And what we're looking for a leading edge being parallel to that forearm, that lead forearm. I tend to get a little bit closed, but that's where we'd like to have it, so that leading edge is pointing parallel to that forearm. Now, what would happen? Imagine this. If we see a golfer who opens the face at the top, we can see there that club face is very open because the toe line is pointing down to the ground. You cannot sequence the downswing as we want. Well, you would do it, but you'd only do it once, because the golf ball would probably hit Andy or be 70 yards right. So what you tend to do is, from an open face, is you build in these compensations. And it could be over the top. It could be early release, scooping just to square the face up, or even hanging back on this back foot.
Probably all three, actually. You're probably going to do all three if that happens.
When you're doing all three, you're probably losing about 60 yards with your irons. It just robs you of power, and obviously you've got to pull these compensations in. So a drill that we like to do just to give you feedback, and again, it's this, keeping this club head as close to the hands as possible is a good idea in this. So just have some swings where you hold onto the ferrule with your thumb and your forefinger. We've obviously got the club face square here. By the time we swing back to this waist high position, we can have a real good idea where the club is. So it's good for this part, but this is where it's really good, because you get to see what it's like at the top now. If you're a trending open face or a trending closed face, you can really see that without having to get on the camera.
So we're really lining up Piers' forearm with the club face there, and that's just a great checkpoint. I like to do a lot of practice with a mirror, because it's that initial feedback straight away, you know, real-time feedback. Where is it? Okay, great, that's what it feels like, that's the visual. And then if we can get those things right, put all those three things together, it's actually really hard to,
It's hard to mess
it's
it up
really
from
hard
there.
to mess it up. And this is why we pulled these three things, because these are probably the most common things that we see. Good pivot motion,
Yeah.
good synchronization of arms, body, and club, and then club face. You tie them all together. Golf's easy when you tie those
It's
things
easy
together.
when you do all those. But I
It
think,
is
look,
easy.
what one thing, maybe our last message, I don't know, but one thing I'd really encourage you to do as a golfer is understand what drives your golf swing, understand what works in your golf swing, understand what doesn't work. So whether it's through a coach or following someone's content, what I would recommend with that, just follow one person and just learn about golf the way that they do it. But I think if you do all those three there, if you can understand those three, you got a chance.
Love it, love it. I mean, I think by linking all those things together, we're looking at it selfishly. Like, we want the best golfers, or golfers swinging their best when they're with us, fitting them for golf clubs when they're swinging their absolute best. So I love that you're giving people the structure and some guidelines that will help them, give them the best opportunity for the best backswing, which will lead to the right chain reaction on the downswing and give the best chance of a successful result.
And those three things, it's really, really simple. And the longer that we've coached, the more simple we make it. You know, you can go into details, and technology is incredible now, but if you go too much into the details of things, it's just going to be harder. So the more simple you can make it, these three things we know make a huge difference. You put these into practice, I guarantee they're going to help.
As coaches and fitters, we need to know the minutiae, but as a player, you got to keep that out of your head.
Yeah,
It's gonna mess you up 100%.
without doubt. Well, you see that all the time. That's the way you feel about the game. You don't want to know you don't want to go into the weeds too much, but you know what's effective and what works.
100%. And he's the player out of us four.
Yeah.
Sure. He is the player.
And
4 times a week is definitely the player.
Well, guys, I mean, I hope you enjoyed that. That's a huge treat for all of us, for us as well. Just, I'm sure, you know, Mikey's hearing things that he can go, yep, you know, some width in the backswing. Yeah, I get a little bit collapsy. Right elbow gets a little bit too narrow. I've eternally struggled with backswing, so maybe video 1 was for Mikey. I felt like video 2 might have been for me, boys. But I'm sure the viewers are feeling like there's some really good nuggets in there for them too.
Good.
Thanks for having on, guys.
Awesome,
It's been really good.
All right, guys, amazing having the guys with us. Please go and follow them on their own channel if you don't already. I'm sure you do, but if you don't, please do. You'll get loads more content, amazing tools to help your golf game, help your golf swing, and bring us your great golf swing so we can fit you for some great clubs.
And if you leave some comments down below, we'll get in and answer a few of those comments as well.
Love that, love that. Okay, guys, stay tuned for more. We'll see you again soon.